welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses. This is a bright and early Saturday morning. I am a little tired. As a matter of fact, I'm a lot tired, pretty exhausted. But I really am super excited about the opportunity that I get to hang out with you guys this morning. For those of you guys who do not know me, my name is Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, and I'm excited that today we're going to get a chance to talk about 5 things about fathers that you absolutely need to know. So when I talk about fathers, I'm thinking about men who are raising their kids, whether they are in or out of the homes. And so do me a quick favor, guys. I want you to tag a brother, share this out. If you are on YouTube, do me a favor, share this out. If you're on Instagram, do me a favor, click the arrow and share this out. So I just want to make sure for a second that all of our connections are good. Obviously, I'm in a different scenario. For those of you guys who are just tuning in, great morning, great morning, great morning. Good to have you. Put hashtag replay if you're a replay viewer. And I want to introduce you guys to what it is that we do here. So for those of you guys who don't know, my wife and I, Cherie, created an online relationship academy called MAPS, Marriages and Parenting Successfully. And in that academy, guys, our goal really is to add value to parents, to add value to couples, and now we're adding value to singles who want to get married. The entire goal there is to help people really create an environment where healthy relationships not only are possible, but they actually thrive. So if you want to know any more information about that, I really want you guys to go to the website for YouTube. It is on the screen there, www.thecrcoach.com, and click the link. Sign up for a free discovery session if you think you want to be a part of that community, and we would love to be able to see if we are a fit. Great morning, Karen. Thanks for jumping on. Teresa, thanks so much for jumping on YouTube. Great morning, Eric Jones Jr., representing the whole Midwest. Good to see you, brother. We miss you. Hope things are going well for you and your family. We're coming up on Father's Day, guys. And I'm going to slow down a little bit. I'm going to sip on my coffee. We're going to wait for a few people to get into a room. But if you know of a father, if you know of a man who is fathering a child on any level, I want you to tag them and share this broadcast with them, because one of the things that I have found out to be absolutely true, there's a level of expectation that men have, or that are put on men who are having children and have children, that quite frankly is daunting. It's a tough thing to live up to, because in many cases, many of us have never been taught how fatherhood looks, what it feels like, what you should and shouldn't do, and how everything should work. So my wife is jumping on. Obviously, she's not here with me, and so you guys go ahead and say hey to Cherie. She's on in the chat here on YouTube. And so, babe, thanks for jumping in. I'm on the road, and actually she is too. I hear you hanging out with the grandbabies. they're 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 gonna hang out doing some partying. My granddaughter just celebrated her 9th birthday the other day, and so they're all hanging out doing a mini girls trip, if you will. So I ain't messing with them. But Cherie, thank you so much for jumping on. Again, guys, make sure that you guys share this out to as many people as you can. I'm trying to wait for a few more people to get into the room before we get started. But we're going to drop 5 things about a father that you absolutely need to know. Now, I am going to this week talk a little bit from what I call the Book of Wisdom, right? And so whether you are a believer or not, Proverbs in the Bible is a book of wisdom, and it gives us some clues as to some things we need to know about fathers. And so I want to encourage you. I'm not going to preach, but I am going to give you a bunch of wisdom principles that are found in Scripture. And so I appreciate you. Jasmine Womack, good to see you, girl. Super excited. I'm still here in the A. Would love to see your face and hug your neck, but I know you super busy. I had a chance to hang out with Tanya last night. We chopping up, we getting some stuff started, girl. We're going to collaborate on some things. I'm super excited about that. But I digress. That was a friend of mine. And so on Instagram. So for my Instagram viewers, do me a favor, put If this is your first time to Breakfast with the Brookses, maybe you don't know me, you don't know much about me, put first timer in the chat if you're on Instagram so that I can greet you a little bit more personally. Breakfast with the Brookses, again, normally has Cherie and I. She's not with me. Obviously, I'm on the road this week. She's not with me. She's hanging out with our granddaughter. They are doing birthday celebration stuff, girl style. So really quickly, I'm going back to the chat. Thank you again. Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone who is jumping in. I appreciate you guys sharing this out. Again, we're going to talk today about 5 things that you need to know about a father. Put 5 things in the chat. If you're close to your chat, if you're close to your keyboard, if you're close to your device, I want you to drop 5 things in the chat. The word 5 things. Put that in the chat. Put that in the chat real quick. Just drop 5 things in the chat. Guys, let me say this, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. But men oftentimes are challenged to do things that we were never taught. The same is true of ladies in some regard, but it's a little bit different for men because there's a level of expectation that you should just, quote, man up and do what needs to be done. And I am of the opinion that that actually looks like something. I want to encourage my brothers. I get it. I know what it's like when you come up in a home where your father was absent. We're going to talk to you guys a little bit about some things. And for those of you guys who are chiming in on the chat here on YouTube, I'm going to go away from paying attention to y'all for a second so I can kind of go through this content. And I'll come back at the end and talk to you guys a little bit and engage you. But there are 5 things that you absolutely need to know. I'm going to read a couple of statistics and I want you guys to hear this very clearly. Here's what I want you to do. When you hear these 10 statistics, I want you to, they all have something common. What do these things have in common? 70% of all juvenile delinquents, 72% of all juvenile murders, 60% of all rapists, 70% of all school dropouts, 60% of all suicides, 70% of all teen pregnancy, 70% of all chemical abusers, 80% of all prison inmates have this in common. 90% of all homeless people have this in common. Put it in the chat if you think you know the answer to that. Put it in the chat if you think you know the answer to that. Again, I'll say it again. All these people, all these things have one thing in common. 70% of all juvenile delinquents, 72% of all juvenile murders, 60% of all rapists, 70% of all school dropouts, 60% of all suicides, 70% of all teen pregnancies, 70% of all chemical abusers, 80% of all prison inmates, 90% of all homeless people. If you know the answer to that question and you know what all those people have in common, I want you to put it in the chat. What do they all have in common? I see it. I see it. You guys are starting to put it in the chat, particularly on YouTube. IG, y'all participate with me if you are there. Put it in the chat. What do you think all those things have in common? Thanks for sharing, Karen. Thanks for sharing, Linwood. Appreciate you guys. Shout out to the MAPS community. Guys, the one thing that all of those statistics have in common is the fact that they all share this one truth. They all grew up without a father in their home. They all grew up without a father in their home. And I need you guys to hear that. I need that to resonate. I need you to get that and understand that. It is clear to me that when a father is not in the home, and I'm going to say it this way, when a father is not present, bad things happen. We're going to talk a little bit. I'm not going to be super long today. I've got a webinar that I'm going to be doing at 9 a.m. and it's not too late for you to jump in. And it's called Communication Made Simple. I'm really going to help parents and husbands, wives, spouses be able to communicate, understanding their personality. It's going to be a webinar that we're going to do for about 90 minutes starting at 9 a.m. this morning. So if you want to know more information about that, we'll send you a link. Just drop I want in the chat and we'll send you a quick link where you can join that webinar at 9. So I'm going to get out of here in a second, but I want to make you guys understand some things really quickly, guys. When fathers are absent, bad things happen. Put that in the chat. When fathers are absent, bad things happen. It is not good when men are not present. It's not. Now, I am not going to be talking from the place of judgment or shame. See, because what you have to understand really quickly, I understand what that life looks like. My dad disappeared out of our lives when we were 7 years old. Now, what's ironic is that I'm sitting in the home of my sister, who, she obviously, because she's my sister, he was not present in her life either. Here's what I know: that when men are not present, things slip in that don't benefit us, because men have specific roles that they play in the lives of their children. And when they are absent, guys, things go sideways really, really quickly. So if you're ready for this content, put ready in the chat. I'm going to drop 5 things really quickly. If you're ready for this content, put 5 things. I'm going to go back to the okay, got it, good, 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 good. Appreciate it, appreciate it, appreciate it. Good, great. Thank y'all for chiming in. I love it, I love it, I love it. Appreciate you for jumping on, Nia. Good to see you again, girl. I hope things are going well for you and Kyle. Listen very quickly, guys. If you're ready for this content, put ready in the chat. We're going to give you 5 things. If you're ready for this content, put ready in the chat. I'm not going anywhere till I see another ready. I need to see at least one more ready before I give up this content. Because see, here's what I don't do, guys. I don't come to this platform to entertain you. I don't come to this platform because I get paid to do it. I don't come to this platform because I like to hear myself talk, contrary to popular belief. I come to this platform and I show up in order to add a significant amount of value in your life so that one thing can happen: change can take place. See, because I am completely aware that I have a sense of responsibility, because change has taken place in my life, to bring that change to the table. And so I see a ready in the chat there on IG. I love it. I see a string of readies here on YouTube. I love it. I love it. I love it. So number one, really quickly, here are some things about fathers that you absolutely need to know. Number one, where there is no father, there is no voice. Put that in the chat. No father equals no voice. That's number one. No father equals no voice. What do I mean when I say that? I'm going to help you guys understand something. There's an intrinsic value that a father brings to the table. And when he is absent, oftentimes there is no voice in the home of the father. There's no voice in the head of the kid of the father. My wife constantly shares with me how she did not grow up understanding how to hear the voice of a man. And when I say voice, I want you to hear authority. There is an authority that men walk in when they're whole and they're showing up and they're adding value and they're doing what men are designed to do, that brings a significant amount of authority to the table. We're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of that in a minute. So we said that we were going to give you guys some wisdom from the book of Proverbs, right? And so in Proverbs 23:22, it says, listen to your father who gave you life, and do not despise your mother when she is old. Listen to the voice of your father. It's hard to do that when he's not there. Now, I'm going to submit that in this day and age, I believe that it's possible for you to father from afar. In my book that I wrote, How I Got My Son Back, I write a whole chapter on fathering from afar. It takes great intentionality, and quite frankly, it takes more discipline to do that than to do it while in the home, because you're already there. Does that make sense? And so I want to encourage men that, number one, guys, listen, here's what we need to know. When we're not there, there is no voice. That's number one. If you're ready for number two, put a number two in the chat. Y'all need to hear this. At 9 o'clock today, I'm going to be doing a live webinar. It's in a Zoom room. You can get the link if you put in the link that you want to be involved with that. We'll send you a quick link. And we're going to talk about communicating. We're going to talk about how to communicate, make it really simple, really easy, but how to do that with an understanding of your personality. One of the challenges when fathers are not in homes is that there's no communication established. And so people don't understand, children don't understand how to hear the voice of a father, how to hear the authority of a father. And so as a result of that, they don't receive authority well, because that was modeled. In other words, it wasn't ever shown them what it should look like. And I don't have time to really unpack that today. Cooler than the day. I can't see all of your name, but thank you for jumping on IG. I see you involved, engaged. Do me a favor, put your name in the chat, your government name, so I know how to engage you a little bit more personally. Again, YouTube, Instagram. Listen to me very carefully. We said that where there is no father, there is no voice. Proverbs 22 talks about listen to your father who gave you life. You can't listen to a father who's not there. Let that breathe. I can't listen to a father who's not there. And so if I'm left to myself, I will listen to the voice of authority from wherever I hear it. And sometimes that's the street. IG, y'all need to hear me. I can listen to the, okay, that's what's up, Kyle. Great to see you, brother. I'll hear the voice of authority through some other mechanism. And if I don't know how to respond to it properly, it can get me in a lot of trouble. If you're ready for number two, put a number two. Everybody's got a number two. I see a whole string of number twos. I appreciate y'all for sharing this out. I really do. I really appreciate that, guys. Thanks so much for sharing it out. Going to this chat on YouTube. Yup. Absolutely. Absolutely. Love it. Love it. So number two, guys, I want y'all to write this down. Where there is no father, there is no security. Where there is no father, there is no security. Put no father, no security. Put that in the chat. No father, no security. Let me tell you why that's significantly important. Hear me very, very clearly. There's a sense of calm and security and a sense of I'm going to be all right when a father is present. Men, let me encourage you for a second. This is why in my book, How to Raise a Man, Not a Mama's Boy, I'm encouraging women to understand that men speak very differently than women. Boys hear very different than girls. When there is no father present in the home or in the life of their child or children, here's the truth. They feel insecure many times. So when we read all of those statistics in the beginning of the broadcast, and if you're tuning in late, I encourage you to go back and listen to the replay. We began to see some commonalities between all those really horrible things as a result of a man not being in the room, as a result of a man not being in the home or in the presence of their children in their lives. And the truth of the matter is that there is a level of insecurity that's true of all those people who have gone through all these different changes. If you go down and you drill down in their lives, you're going to find that many of them struggle with insecurity. I believe that most people grow up super insecure because of a lack of authority or a father in their life. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying in large respect, people are missing out on the security of the comfort of knowing, you know what, he got me. I don't know if you ever been in the presence of a man who walks in authority. You just feel, even as a man, you feel like, you know what, I'm good. Am I by myself? Has anybody ever felt that where you're in the presence of a man, of a father? And the walk, their swag, the way they position themselves, the way they just got you, that protect, provide, that whole how can I help you, how can I serve you kind of mentality, looking out for your best interest, always aware of what's happening. There is security that's in the room when a father shows up. And so here are 5 things again, guys, that you need to know about a father. 5 things you need to know about a father. And if you're ready for number 3, put a number 3 in the chat. Put a number 3 in the chat. I put a number 3 in the chat. I got it. Cherie says she definitely feels it. Karen says she understands that. That makes sense to her. I love it. I love it. I love it. I appreciate that, Marsha or Damon, whichever one it is. I'm not sure which one is listening, but thanks. Lacey, good to see you, girl. Shout out to the MAPS community. Rick is on. What's going on, brother? What's going on? Guys, we're going to jump down to number 3. Thank you, Nia, for putting that in. If you're ready for number 3, put number 3 in the chat. Ready for number 3? Put number 3 in the chat. I got to pace myself. I'm a little tired, guys. Y'all excuse me, but we're going to make this all work. Number 3, I want you guys to understand that where there is no father, there is no correction. Put that in the chat. No father equals no correction. No father equals no correction. In other words, there is a sense of order that comes into a room when a father shows up. When I say no correction, what I'm saying is that nobody is being held accountable when the father is not there. There is a way that a father holds children accountable, very different than the way a mother holds them accountable. Am I right or wrong? Put it in the chat. Y'all know what it is. I'll give it to you this way. The father can say it one time, the mother got to say it 15 times. There's a reason why. And so when fathers are not present, when they're not involved, when they're not in the place, many times people go lacking that piece. And when I say a father, I'm talking about a guy, a man who understands who he is. He has done the work to become whole, because just because you are a man, and I'm talking about me, doesn't necessarily make you equipped for fatherhood. That's something that's learned. You're born a man, you become a father. That was powerful. That y'all need to tweet that. I ain't never said that before like that. You are born a man, but you become a father. Fathering is something you learn. Manhood is something you're born with. You're just called the male anatomy. It's just how you came into the world. That doesn't necessarily make you a father. You have the components of one, but fatherhood is taught, not caught. Guys, please hear me clearly. Someone has to model for you what fatherhood looks like, or you will not go and do likewise. Because people don't do what you say. People do what you do, and when we don't have that model, we come up short. So again, I'm talking about the 5 things about a father that everybody needs to know. Men, we need to know this. Women, we need to know this. When there is no father, number 1, there is no voice. Number 2, there is no security. Number 3, there is no correction. If you're ready for number 4, put it in the chat. Number 4. I'm moving right along through these guys, and I'm not belaboring this. This is something that I'll probably over time I'll consider unpacking a little bit deeper. If you are a man and you're looking for a community of men, I want to encourage you to come and join the MAPS Relationship Academy. The screen, www.thecrcoach.com, is up on the screen there on YouTube. And so Kyle or Nia, do me a favor, put that in the chat here on Instagram. www.thecrc, C as in constant, R as in relationship, coach.com, thecrcoach.com. Sign up for a free discovery session. And what I want to do is I want to chop it up with you. It'll assign you a time to get with me. We'll get together online. It's totally free. But I just want to figure out if we're a fit. And if we are, we have a men's group that meets every Sunday night at 7 o'clock. And all we do is deal with these issues. We talk about the real stuff that we all go through. And here's what I'm going to promise you. There is no judgment in this room, because we all live in glass houses. We all need some help, y'all, me included. I don't have all the answers. That's why I settle in and settle around and keep men in my life constantly pouring me, because what I know about number 4, put it in the chat, where there is no father, there is no instruction. Put that in the chat. Where there is no father, there is no instruction. Put that in the chat. Where there is no father, there is no instruction. Guys, when I talk about there being no instruction, in other words, there are methodical ways that fathers teach that when you are not in their presence, you don't get to learn from that. By nature, fathers are trainers. By nature. They're not happy until it's done right. They're not happy until you do it thoroughly. When a real father steps in the room and a real man of authority steps in the room, he don't let you slide. But he's also going to give you the instructions on how to do that. Oftentimes, we are expecting people to pull off things that they've never been instructed on how to do. When I teach this webinar at 9 o'clock, I'm going to teach you how to communicate. There's a reason why Cherie and I don't fuss, fight, kick, scream. I don't sleep on couches in my house. There's no such thing as me. Ain't nobody slamming no doors and going through all that craziness. Now, we used to do that. We did that in our previous marriages. But how did we evolve and we grow and we became the kind of people where that's no longer existing in our lives? Somehow, somewhere, we were instructed. And when you are instructed, there are lessons taught, and thus a lesson can be learned. So we're talking about the 5 things about a father that you absolutely need to know. Where there is no father, number one, there is no voice. Number two, there is no security. Number three, there is no correction. Number four, there is no instruction. And if you're ready for number five, put a number five in the chat. I appreciate you guys chiming in both on Instagram and on YouTube. I love it. I love it. Teresa, thank you so much for that comment. Jacqueline, thank you so much for that comment. Appreciate that. Teresa, men are born. You're born a man, you become a father. That's exactly right. Appreciate that, Cherie. Guys, do me a huge favor. Tag somebody, tag a brother, share this out with a guy who needs to understand to get this information. If you're ready for number five, put a number five in the chat. We're wrapping up because at 9 o'clock this morning, I'm super excited. We're going to do this live workshop called Communication Made Simple, and we're going to teach people how to communicate with their personality in mind. There's a reason why you're wound the way you are. There's a reason why you think the way you do. You approach things the way you do. And if you can get really clear and in touch with that, the whole game on communication will absolutely change. So at 9 a.m., I certainly want to help you guys out. Just click or drop in the link. Hey, send me that link. If you're in the MAPS community, by the way, this is something you already have the link on, so check your emails. But if you're not in the MAPS community, you need to sign up. You need to register for it, and we certainly want to send that out to you. So just put I'd like to be in. Put I'm in. I want more. Or something. Let me know that you want to be in that thing at 9 o'clock. Last thing, number five. Where there is no father, I need y'all to hear this clearly because it's going to mess somebody up. Where there is no father, there is no love. Where there is no father, there is no love. And when I say no love, there is a way that a father loves that is unique to a father. Fathers love very differently than mothers. Can we agree with that? Fathers love very differently than mothers love. A mother's love is a nurturing love, right? A father's love is a provision and a protection love. It's also a super sacrificial love in the sense that they will give up their lives for their child in a way that's different than mothers. Mothers will do the same thing, but the way the father shows up is very differently. So when I think about the quintessential act of love of a father, I think about God. I think about God the Father and how he so loved the world that he gave his only. Here's what I know most women ain't doing. They ain't giving up their last. They certainly ain't giving up their only child. They ain't doing that. No, I'm so sorry. They love you, but they ain't giving up their baby like that. Like, nah. You done seen women run down the street holding onto a car, being dragged to their death, right? Right? Before they give up that child. They ain't doing that. But the Bible talks about in John 3:16, famous scripture, even if you're not a believer, if you've never gone to church, you've heard, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. The question is why? Put that in the chat. That's the question. Why would a father do that? Why would a father show up and sacrifice so much that he actually gives away his life? Because that son is his life. So trust me when I tell you, it ain't easier for a father. He's just built a little bit differently than the mother. And when the father is not present, there is no love, not this kind of love. So somebody put in the chat, why? I got a bunch of whys. I got a bunch of whys. I got a bunch of whys. So inquiry minds want to know why. Let me tell you why. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believed could become a son of God, or could become saved. Saved from what? Saved from death. Let me give you an example. Guys, when you sow something, you're giving away something in expectation of getting something else back. God gave his son in expectation of reaping more sons and daughters. When God gives, it's with the expectation, hear me clearly, with a return on an investment. When a father gives, it's with an expectation of a return on an investment. I will sacrifice for my child, but I want something back. I'm not settled with the fact that they just got the, no, 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 no. When my daughter came to me and said, Dad, I want a MacBook Pro, when they first came out, MacBook Airs, whatever it was, she was a freshman in college. They have a whole bunch of other kind of computers that don't cost $2,500. And I'm trying to figure out what the ham sandwich are these people doing with a $2,500 laptop. Are you serious right now? This was back in 2005, 6, 2005, 4, 5, whatever it was. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, she's asking me for a $2,500 computer. Now, you have to understand that I had saved up my little bit of money because I had my eyes on a $3,000 bicycle because I was training and I was riding long distance doing long distance cycling, the whole 9 yards. And I was training for a century ride and the whole bit. I'm going to get me the one of the top of the line bicycles at the time that I had my eye on it. That joint cost about $3,000. I had about $2,200 on it, saved, ready, until my daughter came through talking about, Dad, I need that computer. Now here's what here's what you got to hear, guys. Here's what you got to hear. When a father loves, he's going to give up his all, but he is expecting something in return. So when I recognized that, first of all, my daughter had already been writing poetry, she had been writing music, and the selling point for me was, Dad, this thing actually has a software on it called GarageBand. I'm very familiar now, but that I can produce music on my computer and it comes on the computer. She's rocking with kids who are writing music. She's hanging out with kids. She's in a band. She's doing it. She's being exposed to stuff. She's a beautiful psalmist. She can sing. She can write. And so for me, that gift was something I was sowing. I'm going to love you. Take all of what I have and I'm giving it to you, but I'm going to need a return on that. Somebody put return on investment. Put ROI in the chat. Put ROI in the chat. Put ROI in the chat. Put it in the chat. ROI. R.O.I. It stands for return on investment. That's the way men love. They want a return on that. And I promise you, they got it from God. And at the end of the day, guys, here's what I know. When I gave up that $2,500 for that laptop, I'm trying to figure out what you're going to do with that junk. Well, here's what I will tell you. Long story short, the girl wrote 2 albums, produced them, promoted them, and went out and sold them while as in her college years, college, undergrad, master, graduate school, the whole bit. Over the course of that time, she took that computer and she wrote 2 albums. She produced 2 albums. Her and her friends got together. They worked it out and had that stuff up on back in the days. I don't even think they had SoundCloud out by then. It might have been just YouTube, whatever it was. Had the whole thing out, selling them, doing gigs, the whole 9 yards. And at the end of the day, for me, I'm saying, now that's what love looked like. I got a return on investment. What is my point? Fathers, I want to encourage you this season of your life, wherever you are. I want you to rail against the system that says they don't need you. Let me tell you what that looks like. That looks like sometimes they're not having a conversation. Sometimes they're mad with you. Sometimes they're blocking you, meaning your kids. Maybe in this case, it might be your co-parent, whatever the case may be. I want you to rail against that system. I want you to decide in your mind that I'm going to show up regardless of my circumstances or situations. I believe it's possible to father from afar. I want to encourage you this season in your life, wherever you are, to come against that thought that says, you know what, it's not worth it. I don't feel like it. They're not making it easy for me. So therefore, I'm just not going to go the extra mile. I want you to rail against that because here's what we know. And I want you to go back and listen to the replay if you're just jumping in. Because at the beginning, I'm listing a long list of statistics, guys, that talk about how bad things get when fathers are not involved. Well, good to see you, Claudine. Good to see you, girl. Number one, when there is no father, there is no voice. Number two, when there is no father, there is no security. Number three, when there is no father, there is no correction. Number four, when there is no father, there is no instruction. And the last thing, when there is no father, there is no love. Guys, I'm getting out of here for the day. I appreciate y'all for joining me. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry that Cherie wasn't with me. She is in Hampton Roads. They're doing the girls' night out, day out. I hope the rain holds up for them to have a little party. Baby, thanks for jumping on YouTube with us. I appreciate all the comments. Share this out to someone, guys, because at the end of the day, we all need some help. If you are not signed up for our Communication Made Simple webinar and you are not in the MAPS Relationship Academy, of which you guys already have your emails, I'm going to be showing up at 9 a.m. Drop something in the comments. I hope they can put it on the comments where we can a link so that you can maybe sign up. But if not, at least say, hey, I'd like to be in that. When I get off, I will send you a quick link so that you can sign up and join me at 9 a.m. What I'm going to help you guys do is understand how to communicate based on your temperament, based on how you were fashioned. There's a way that you can speak that, quite frankly, will resonate with the people in your life, and you don't have to fight them to get them to do what it is that you need done, or vice versa. At the end of the day, guys, we all need some help. Y'all be good. We'll talk soon.